I haven't been out of the house in several days because I've been sick, so I'm making myself go out. I'm probably just gonna go to, like, I don't know, a coffee shop or something and do some reading and get some coffee and chill out for a little bit. Thankfully there are several, like, really close by, so it's not really an issue. Yeah, I needed to get out of the house because we only have one vehicle right now, and I don't know if I'll be able to really get out this week, and cabin fever is inevitable. Stuck in traffic.
When you're on the path, your red socks shirt stayed clean and dry. On the path, there was no disturbing minnow swimming in the hollow place between your chest and stomach. On the path, you were safe. Safe.
So I basically just ended up deciding not to go inside the Starbucks because it was pretty busy and I don't feel like being around a lot of people right now. Plus that Starbucks tends to be on the snooty side. So the only reason I went to it was because it was the closest coffee place to my house. But instead, I'm choosing to go to the Goodwill across the street from the Starbucks, which I don't know if you can see. But yeah, I figured I'd poke around, look for a couple of books, and then head home, because I'm already feeling drained. But in the meantime, I was listening to the audiobook for The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I got 4 chapters in. So about 43 pages. And I'm really liking it so far. It's a really creepy premise. Like I said, I've been lost in the woods up in the Appalachian Mountains before, and it's not a fun experience. I didn't end up staying very long in Goodwill, but I did stay long enough to find 2 books that I'm interested in. One is Rose Madder, which I've never heard of, and I have no idea what it's about. I just know it's a Stephen King I don't have, and I haven't heard about. And the next one I've read already, but I don't have a copy of, and that's Everything, Everything. And Nicola Yoon is the name. And I really enjoyed this book enough that I really did want to have a physical copy of it so I could read it over again. But yeah, that is literally it. I pooped around for a little bit, but there were little kids, like, all over the place. And people, like, shopping for the holidays, and I'm not about that right now. But I do feel better that I got to actually get out of the house, kind of just, do my thing for a little bit. I can't brain right now. But yeah, I'm going to take my coffee home and get some more reading done, and probably listen to the audiobook in the meantime. I'm about 89 pages into The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, and poor Patricia is officially lost and has fainted and has been following water to try and get her way back to civilization, and has gotten to the point where she's listening to her Walkman, listening to a baseball game with her favorite player, Tom Gordon, and basically saying, okay, well, if he wins this, then I'm going to be saved. If he gets this save, then I'm going to get the save. And he gets it, and she's kind of crying, and then she goes to sleep, and there's something spooky moving around in the woods. So I'm about to find out what that is. I kind of wanted to take a second to update you, because I'm about to move back out in the living room for a little bit.
Come on, talk to me, buddy. Stop mumbling. Read what? You can mumble, look at your feet, all day long. Hey, buddy? okay, buddy.
I just finished The Girl Who Loves Tom Gordon, and as you can see, Ezra is being extra needy. I have to stay up for a little bit to take my antibiotics, so I'm going to go ahead and start this book, since I already technically listened to an audiobook and I'm not really feeling like reading the next book in the Mortal Instruments series. I'm going to switch. So the last category I have to fulfill is read a book with paranormal or supernatural elements. And I'm thinking for this one, there she goes, that I'm going to read Night Shift by Stephen King, because I'm on kind of a Stephen King run, I guess. But I figured there are over 20 short stories in here. At least one has to have supernatural elements. In fact, I know one does because it has Children of the Corn in it. But yeah, they're all really short stories, and I've been putting off reading this for way too long, so I'm gonna get it over with. Not that I'm reading it. Wish me luck. So I just finished the first short story in Night Shift by Stephen King. It was called Jerusalem's Lot, and it was so creepy and atmospheric, and I really loved it. It kind of starts off letting you think that it's just another like haunted house story, which I mean I'm down for. I love haunted house stories, and it kind of goes off in a different direction. Again, it's a short story. I think it was only like 37 pages or so, but it was able to build up a lot of suspense and tension, and yeah, it's a really interesting read if you've never read it. I'm going to take my medication, which is the whole reason that I stayed up this late, and then maybe one more short story, I think, and then go lay down. I just finished the second short story in Night Shift called Graveyard Shift, and it was so good. So for reference, I really like rats. Like, I would like to have one as a pet one day. I think they're really cool and extremely intelligent creatures. That being said, I don't find them very creepy at all, and this story actually made me find them genuinely disturbing. But I think that's gonna be it for the night, and I'm gonna go lay down and try and get some sleep, and then in the morning I'll try and finish this. So it is October 7th. I haven't really gotten much reading done yet today. Much meaning not at all. Because I haven't been awake very long. I've been awake long enough to grab a shower. My hair is kind of dry now. And for my girlfriend to come by and bring me a treat bag, which I wanted to show you guys. She brought me popcorn, which I sadly can't make because we don't have a microwave right now, but I wasn't going to say anything. And dark chocolate raisinets, which are like my favorite freaking thing. I'm just going to drop everything. And Lindell. And she also got me these Sour Bright llamas, which is so great. And, God, where are they? Some socks, which matches with another gift, which I'm going to have to show you guys shortly. I love them so much. Let's see, there are a couple more things. She brought me this little pumpkin. Chill out, back. But she brought me this little pumpkin. It's filled with kisses. And it's so cute. And then, I think this is the last thing in the bag. Hold on. Let me make sure. Yeah. She brought me this little glass with the hand around it, which I was going to get myself originally. And then this little dude, who is solar powered, so he doesn't necessarily light up very often. I need to charge him, but I love him so much. Yeah, this made me really happy. She's a really gifty person, and she was kind of thinking, hey, what would I want if I was stuck at home, you know, feeling sick and watching movies all day. And so she brought me just so many goodies, and I love her so much. And there's one more thing that I need to show you guys. This thing is this little door hanger. It says majestically awkward. And she saw it and apparently thought that there was nothing more me in existence and decided to get it for me. So I'm eating this strawberry shortcake lollipop that was in that gift basket that my girlfriend brought me. And I'm about to read a short story. Night Surf by Stephen King. And I'll keep you guys updated because I want to try and get as much of this read today as possible. Okay, so that was a really short one. And honestly, it felt a little incomplete, but it was still interesting because it was kind of a spin-off of The Stand. It was a short story that basically took place in the universe of The Stand, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure. But basically everyone on Earth has been, like, wiped out by the flu, well, a version of the flu, other than the few people who are immune to it. And in this case, he's kind of telling the story from the point of view of less sympathetic characters who are kind of pieces of shit, honestly. But Stephen King is good at writing pieces of shit, I'll give him that. They're not super sympathetic, though. But anyway, the next one is I Am the Doorway. And I'm probably going to read that one and just keep going. So it is October 8th, and I just got back from hanging out with my girlfriend. I'm about to get some more reading done and hang out with this grumpy looking cat. And yeah, I'll update you guys as I go. I'm up late again because of the time I have to take my medication. I'm going to work on some more night shift. I'm about halfway through. I want to try and finish this fairly soon so I'll have plenty of time to edit it, but you know, we'll see. It is the morning of October 9th, and I'm kind of just waking up. I'm feeling better for the most part, but the medication that I'm taking kind of keeps me asleep for a little while. That combined with the fact that I kind of have to wake up at 1:30 a.m. and 7:30 to take a dose is, yeah, it kind of keeps me sleepy. Especially since I don't sleep the best as it is. But I'm going to try and get as much read today as I can. I have about half of night shift left to read, and I'd really prefer to be done with it by the end of the day, so I'll have more time to edit, like, the entire video before the readathon is over. But we'll see. I also kind of just want to watch Hocus Pocus tonight with my husband. Also, Ezra is here with me, if you can see her. She is also just waking up. Oh, thank you. Ah! So I'm about to go in and grab some groceries for the house. I'm just kind of taking a break from reading at the moment. Brought my book with me so I can kind of show my progress. I have not many pages left. I'm on page 284 at the moment. Let's see. And there are 336 pages, so not many at all, like a little over 50. And honestly, I've loved every single story that I've read thus far. I'm thinking about doing like a full review of the book, which I don't think I've done so far, which is weird. I keep on saying I'm going to do that, but I don't do it. Anyway, I'm going to go grab some bread, some cheese, some milk, and all that jazz. So I just got out of the store and I got all my groceries that I needed, and then while I was standing in line I found these super fucking cute socks. And they were like $1, so of course I had to get them. It's like if the Count was actually a vampire. Stuck in traffic again. Thank you, Greenville. I'm actually able to have my window open because it's nice out for once. Like, it actually feels like fall outside. So it's 12:11 a.m. on October 10th, and I just finished night shift. And oh man. So not all of the short stories in the book are horror. I guess it could be said that they're horror in a different way, like psychological horror. But the last story is called The Woman in the Room, and it's basically about a woman dying of, I forget what kind of cancer, I think it's of the kidneys, and her son's struggle to see her the way she is because it's got to the point where she's paralyzed. And I won't say how it ends in case you want to read it, but that was a rough one. But I am going to work on editing my videos for a little bit, I suppose. And then tomorrow I'm going to watch Hocus Pocus and, finish up this readathon officially. It is 2 p.m. October 10th, and I'm about to watch Hocus Pocus to celebrate finishing the Hocus Pocus Readathon. After that, I'm going to go over the books that I read with you guys just to give a brief review and kind of discuss how I felt about the books overall.
'Tis her life force. The motion works. Take my hands. We will share her.
Oh, really? How generous of thee.
Oh, look. Another glorious morning. Makes me sick. Sisters!
Yes, Winnie.
I just finished watching Hocus Pocus, and it's just as cheesy and silly and lovable as it's always been. No surprise there. I just wanted to take a quick moment to go over the books that I read for this readathon. I shortened the prompts a little bit so it'd make it a little more expedited. The first book that I read came from the prompt, read a book with paranormal or supernatural elements. And for this prompt, I chose City of Ashes. I think ultimately I would give City of Ashes about 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, but there were elements about it that were very tropey. Just a couple. But for the most part, I thought it was an extremely enjoyable book. There's a reason that it's popular. I enjoyed most of the characters and, the character development that took place, the character arcs. Simon bothered me for a lot of the book because of his kind of nice guy thing going on. But then, I thought the end was very fitting, even if a little predictable, still very fitting. And I like him a lot more now. Big surprise! The second book I chose pertained to the prompt, read a book that can bring someone back from the grave. And the book that I chose was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Just ignore those for now. And this was technically a reread for me. I had listened to the audiobook before. I think that I appreciated it a little bit more after the second reading and really was able to grasp just how grim the story really is. That being said, I did enjoy it. I guess I'd give it around a 3.5. I don't necessarily see myself going to pick this back up again anytime soon, but maybe one day, and I would definitely recommend it to other people, and I can see its importance, but it's nowhere close to one of my new favorite books or anything like that, and it hasn't changed my life in any way, shape, or form. The third book I read was the one which I was initially the most excited to read, and pertained to the prompt, read a book with a non-human main character. And the book that I chose for that was Dracula by Bram Stoker. And I really enjoyed this book, though sometimes it wasn't necessarily... I don't think it was necessarily intentionally made humorous by the author. I was laughing through a lot of the beginning, for instance, because Jonathan is so oblivious. For Dracula, I'd probably give it about 4 stars. Obviously, I'm not sitting down and, writing all of these out, trying to configure, how do I truly feel about this piece? How has it affected my life? This is not an in-depth analysis of these pieces, otherwise I would be doing an individual video for them. This is me just saying off the top of my head, I feel like, to me, this is a 4-star book, for me personally. Later, I'll probably go a little more in depth and think about it a little bit more, and figure out if that's truly what my rating is, or if that's just, my off-the-cuff rating, which happens a lot. The 4th book that I read derived from the prompt, read a spooky atmospheric book, and for this one I chose the book Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Convenient, no? And for this one, it was also a reread. I had listened to the audiobook, very similar story to Frankenstein, and I definitely enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. I think, see, this one's a tough one, because I don't think it was necessarily as good as Dracula, but I enjoyed it more than Frankenstein. So, perhaps my rating system is flawed. But for now, I'm gonna say it's a 3.75. There we go. 3.75. The prompt for the 5th book that I read was, read a random book from your TBR list. And originally I was going to read Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk, but I pretty much figured out immediately that it was not a thriller, it was not a horror story, and I was kind of just going for the Halloween vibes. I didn't really want to keep going if, it was something that I could read at another time that was less atmospheric. I'm going for the atmosphere, damn it! I want to be scared! But I ended up reading The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King, and I absolutely love this cover, for one thing. I ended up reading 2 different Stephen King books, actually replacing 2 of the books on my TBR with Stephen King books, and this is the first one, and it's one of my new favorites. I'm not going to say it's at the top, but it's in the top 10. It's not, like, number 1, but it's in the top 10, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I could relate very well to the character. I thought the characterization was done really well. There were some parts where I thought he was maybe a little... The language was a little sharp when it didn't necessarily have to be, but at the same time, kids around this age use a lot of strong language, and she uses a lot less than some of his other characters, and it wasn't anything, derogatory or anything like that. It was just, shit, damn, fuck. I wonder why I'm not monetized. But I thought this was a wonderful book. I thought it was wonderfully written. The only issue I said was with the language, maybe. And the ending was a little weird, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a Stephen King novel, so I mean, it's kind of like what you expect when you read a Stephen King novel. Like, it's going to be really spooky all the way through, and then you're going to get to the end and it's like, what the fuck just happened? But yeah, I would absolutely give that one 4.5 out of 5 stars. In my top 10 Stephen King books, 4 stars. Okay, so I just realized that I made a mistake earlier in the video, and I'm not going to re-record that part, damn it. Basically, I listened to City of Ashes, but I did not listen to it for that specific prompt. I listened to that for the last prompt, which I was going to discuss, which wouldn't have made any sense. which was listen to an audiobook, because I listened to it on audiobook. So just, reiterate everything that I said for City of Ashes. For the prompt that I mentioned before, however, that I used for City of Ashes initially, read a book with paranormal or supernatural elements, I actually ended up reading Night Shift by Stephen King, and it absolutely had supernatural elements out the yin-yang. I am going to do a full video just on this book alone. It is absolutely in the top 10, probably the top 5 Stephen King books for me now. Every story had a punch. Even if some of them weren't necessarily as good as the others, even if, it was massively dated. This was written in 1977, I think, and Stephen King writes his stuff a little on the dated side anyway, generally. Like, he'll write things from maybe like the 50s and things like that. But yeah, some of the language was very problematic, and a lot of his characters aren't necessarily likable, but to be fair, they are not meant to be. They are meant to be extremely unlikable and downright hateable at times. Overall, Night Shift was the only 5-star book that I ended up reading for this readathon. I enjoyed it greatly. It's one of my new favorite books. I will absolutely read it again. I'm literally going to do an entire video on it, and I just thought it was masterfully written. I would recommend it to as many people as possible. So the thing is, I get asked all the time what a great book to start off reading Stephen King is, and I never necessarily know what to say, because some people don't want, creepy Stephen King, or it might be too much for them to just jump into Pet Sematary right away. Or some people might read Green Mile and it might be too emotionally taxing for them, which has happened before. That was my bad. But I've never really been able to find anything in the middle, and I think that this is a great middle ground. Yes, it is creepy. Yes, it is emotionally taxing. Yes, there are hateable characters, but it's also got really cheesy elements, and it's really well written. It's got so many different stories, and some of them even pertain to books he has written. There's something from The Stand. Let me think. I know there was others. Salem's Lot, which I haven't read, but there are 2 different stories in here pertaining to Salem's Lot. There's so many, and they're all interesting and valuable in their own way, and even if they were really cheesy or ridiculous, I absolutely loved them, every single one. So thank you, Stephen King, for giving this to the world. We appreciate it. Alright guys, so it looks like this is the end of the Hocus Pocus Readathon for me. I had an awesome time, though, maybe not so much with the going to the ER part of it, but everything involving the books was just a grand old time. Let me know in the comments if you were doing the Hocus Pocus Readathon too, what books you read, if maybe you think you'll end up doing it next year. Are you doing any other readathons? Have you read any of these books? What'd you think about them? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Did you enjoy this readathon in general? I'll see you all again soon, but in the meantime, stay safe and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and love yourself. Bye-bye.